In the wake of her mother's swift remarriage, Jessica finds herself facing far more than the rapid nuptials. Within the walls of a house where secrets cling to the shadows, every murmur and echo tells its own story. Immerse yourself in the eerie enigma of a dwelling drenched in grief and gaze through a window that frames the past, a past that defiantly resists being laid to rest. Jessica stared out the window, watching the trees rush by. The vibrant hues of autumn painted a beautiful picture, but her thoughts were elsewhere. It had been 2 years since her mother's abrupt remarriage, a decision that left her feeling unsettled. 12 years. That's how long her mother had been a widow after her father's untimely death. Yet, just 3 months with this new man, and she was ready to start over. The thought stung, and she felt a mix of betrayal and grief. Who was this man? Could he really make her mother happy? "Hey, Jess," her boyfriend Mike whispered, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "You okay?" She nodded, forcing a smile. "Just a lot on my mind." Mike understood. Their relationship had its ups and downs, but he was always there. "Let's give him a chance," he suggested. "For your mom's sake," Jessica sighed. "I know. I just wish I knew more about him." As they neared the house, Jessica's apprehension grew. The stunning home sat atop a hill, surrounded by undulating landscapes, painted with a myriad of fall colors. It was undeniably beautiful, but with its isolated location, it felt lonely. They pulled up the driveway, and Jessica's mother, Sarah, rushed out, her face glowing with happiness. Behind her stood a tall, distinguished man with a gentle smile. Her new husband, Richard. "Jessica, Mike, so glad you could make it," Sarah beamed. Richard extended his hand, his grip firm yet warm. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Jessica," he said, his voice deep and soothing. "And you too, Mike." The greetings were friendly, the smiles genuine, but Jessica couldn't shake off the unease. Maybe it was the rapidness of her mother's decision, the loneliness of the house, or perhaps just the thought of someone trying to replace her father. That evening, as Jessica and Mike sat in their guest room, she whispered, "Something feels off, don't you think?" Mike, ever the rational one, shrugged. New places, new people. It's always a bit weird at first, but as the night deepened, the walls seemed to close in, and the house's secrets began to creep into the corners of Jessica's mind. She wondered what stories it held, and if she was ready to hear them. The first rays of sunlight pierced through the curtains, casting a golden hue across the room. Jessica stretched, a night of restless dreams behind her. The unfamiliarity of the house weighed on her, every creak and whisper echoing with silent stories. She and Mike decided to explore. As they wandered, the house revealed its grandeur, tall ceilings, ornate fixtures, and a history that lingered in every nook. But with every beauty, there was an underlying eeriness, corridors that led to nowhere, cold drafts in closed rooms, and an ever-present feeling of being watched. They stumbled upon an old study, its walls lined with books. Jessica, always the curious one, began to browse. Her fingers brushed a leather-bound diary. The pages, yellowed with age, spoke of love, despair, and a haunting presence. Mike, in the meantime, inspected a family portrait. The figures, frozen in time, stared back with vacant eyes. The striking resemblance between Richard and a younger woman, possibly his mother, caught his attention. The wife in the portrait bore an unsettling expression, one of fear and resignation. A chill ran down his spine. Later, as Jessica and Mike shared an intimate moment in the shower, Mike's eyes widened in shock. "Jess, what's that on your back?" He pointed to a dark, hand-shaped bruise beneath her right shoulder. She twisted, trying to get a look. "What?" "I don't remember getting hurt." Confused and shaken, they tried to rationalize it. An accidental bump? A reaction to something? But the imprint was too distinct. Fingers splayed out as if someone had tried to grab her. The day's strangeness didn't end there. That evening, Jessica lay in bed, the moonlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. A gust of wind rattled the window, revealing an expansive field beyond. The desolation of the land, bathed in pale light, sent a shiver down her spine. The sense of something, or someone, lurking just out of sight was palpable. Mike sensed her unease. "Hey, let's cover that window. It's just making you more anxious." She nodded, grateful. As the curtain fell into place, the room plunged into darkness. The weight of the day settled in, and all Jessica wanted was to leave this house with its chilling mysteries and return to the familiarity of her own world. Morning light filtered through the curtains, revealing a visibly disturbed Jessica. Her dreams were filled with whispers and fleeting shadows, all leading to the haunting field beyond the window. She felt a compulsion to know its story, to uncover the secrets that lurked beneath. Mike, ever the supportive boyfriend, took her hand. "We can leave now if you want." Jessica hesitated. "I need answers, Mike. Something's not right here." They decided to approach Richard, Jessica's mother's new husband. But before they could, Jessica's mother, Sarah, pulled them aside. Her eyes, usually so full of life, looked tired and worn. "I heard you talking about the field," she began, her voice quivering. Jessica nodded, urging her to continue. Sarah swallowed hard. "That field, it holds a sorrowful past." Sarah's eyes seemed to stare through time as she began recounting the somber story that had woven itself into the very fabric of the house. Eliza, she was like a beacon of joy. Sarah's voice trembled. Her laughter was infectious. Her smile could light up the darkest of days. But as autumn turned to winter, a chill settled in that no fire could warm. Eliza, once the heart of any gathering, became a shadow of herself. Her vibrant eyes dulled, her laughter faded, and a profound silence took her voice. Sarah shook her head. It was as if she was being pulled away by an unseen tide. Her connection with Richard frayed, threads of their love unraveling silently. Then, on a night cloaked in the thick fog of early fall, Eliza walked into the vastness of the open field behind their home. The mist swallowed her whole, and she dissolved into the night, leaving behind a whispering void. The townspeople, led by a frantic Richard, searched day and night. They combed through the thickets, the expansive fields, calling out for Eliza, hoping for a sign. It was only after the third sun had set that they stumbled upon the harrowing scene. Eliza, dressed in white, lay still against the earth, her chestnut hair fanned around her like a dark halo. A single gunshot had pierced the silence of the night, leaving an echo that would haunt those hills forever. The despair, it was palpable, Sarah whispered. It clung to the grass, the trees, and seeped into our very souls. They said it was her own doing, but her voice trailed off, suggesting an ocean of unspoken thoughts and hidden depths to the tragedy of Eliza's end. The room was silent, the weight of the revelation hanging heavy. Jessica whispered, "The window, it overlooks that very field, doesn't it?" Sarah nodded, tears in her eyes. "I felt it too, Jess. The sadness, the lingering presence. I'm moving out. The realization hit Jessica like a ton of bricks. The bruise, the oppressive atmosphere, the haunting dreams. It was all connected. Eliza's spirit, perhaps still trapped, was reaching out. As they packed up to leave, Jessica took one last look at the field. She whispered a silent prayer, hoping Eliza would find peace.